You have no power here.
G'day guys, welcome back to the channel, and this is a video I'm really excited to be making. So we're going to be comparing Mr. Fantastic, how he was pre-buff to how he is post-buff now. Now, if you don't know me well, I'm a huge fan of Mr. Fantastic. Um, ever since he joined the game, like I think there was quite a lot of hype for Doom, rightly so, but I think a lot of people overlooked Mr. Fantastic, and I think hopefully this buff people actually now start to realize how good he is. But I also want to show you he was already really good, uh and this buff, yes, it definitely helped, and he can do a few things better now than he could before, but a lot of stuff I'm going to show you he actually could do before. So but we're going to see what that is. So what we're in at the moment is, this is the Cavalier EQ, this is the science chapter. So this is probably my favorite matchup in all of Cav EQ, is Mr. Fantastic versus the Science Node. So basically, what it does is you have a chance to get a poison on you when you land a hit, and that poison gets removed when you parry or you dex. And Mr. Fantastic, with his debuff suppression or whatever it's called, it's basically one of his pre-fights that reduces the potency of damage over time by 22%. Now, when we have this pre-fight, you see it's the one with the little blood drop icon. When we have this, we take no damage from the poison. You'll see when we have it on, we're healing for 90 per tick. This is using the post buff read right now, which is why we have the more persistent charges. But it's really cool to be healing from poison. You see we're healing right now, and then it gets removed, and it converts into a passive fury, which is a bunch of attack. So, and he could do this just fine uh, pre-buff. He does it a bit better now, obviously, because he gets more attack. He gets about 60% more attack per debuff than he did before. For my 5-star, before it was about an extra 115 attack, and now it's about 184 attack, which is definitely a noticeable difference. And yeah, so this is just a matchup I love going into every month with Mr. Fantastic. You can see these guys are just melting. Obviously, we are running the full Fantastic 4 team and Dr. Octopus for the Power Sting synergy. Because Reed can just handle the whole path, like every single path by himself. He's so powerful for this. Obviously, there are other champs that I'll use sometimes that are really good for this node, like Red Hulk and Immortal Abomination, but definitely Reed is my favorite. And one of the reasons I love Reed so much is just his ability to control the fight. We're not controlling this fight at the moment, but through his pre-fights and his slow play, as well as his yeah, it's hard to put into words, I guess, but it's just it's something I really enjoy, and it's kind of not unlike Doom. Doom, when you play Doom well, you can have so much control of the fight, like they never throw a special attack and stuff like that. Now, when Reed, you build up his pre-fights through special twos, also they don't get many special attacks either, and you get way more special attacks than they do. So he's really a really cool champion with a design that I absolutely love, and it's just gotten better now. Especially, I think the biggest difference is the extra pre-fights. Before you only started with two. Now that meant you could only activate two of your pre-fights for the first fight, and then you'd be able to activate all three on the next fight as you gain more persistent charges. But now post buff, he's able to start with four, which is really cool. Because not only can he start with three, but he can also build up to 9. Now this lets him place 2 full sets of pre-fights on another champion before he even has to go into another fight, which is awesome. And it's something that really, really helps Reed, especially in Alliance War and Alliance Quest. But also, if you are for example, if you want to use a Mega Red for a diss track path, now obviously a Mega Red isn't really a good diss track counter because he only has one debuff really in his degeneration. But if you build up Reed on one fight and get him to 9 persistent charges, which you can do by the way, by finishing a fight with a special one. So you have 9 pre-fights. You can do the next 3 fights with a Mega Red, placing 2 pre-fights from Reed, and a Mega Red will be able to take those fights and slaughter them, even though they have diss track. And then after that, Reed will still have 3 pre-fights to use to get back up to 9. So it's really a cool bonus that he's got with this buff. And there are other parts of the buff too, like we already talked about the increased damage per debuff, and there's also the increased fury potency from the special 3. But yeah, I think it's the pre-fights that really makes the biggest difference, and I think we'll see that going forward. Hopefully, I actually, well, I already was planning on rank 3ing my 6-star Reed as soon as possible. We are about 70% of the way there as far as tier 5 CC goes, so I'm really, already keen to rank 3 him, and this has definitely convinced me even more to rank 3 him, because they've just made a good champ even better, and we can't complain about that. Obviously, it takes away the place of someone who actually needed a buff, but it shows that not enough people were using Reed. So hopefully, this means more people will be using Reed, because he's definitely one. He's definitely one worth using. Okay, so we're just on the Nova boss now. This guy doesn't have the Science Node, but he has a stun vulnerability, so I wanted to show off with Reed's heavy attack damage. This is the pre-buff Reed, so it's not as powerful, but there we go. So now we're on Act 7. Now this is a fight, a path just built for Reed. So this is pretty much, you want to bring as much power sting as you can. Now, you also are encouraged to use well-timed blocks, as well as bring champs with non-damaging debuffs, which Mr. Fantastic has in spades. Because each non-damaging debuff increases the length of the power sting from the node, and we also have the passive power stings from the Doctor Octopus synergy. So these power stings are going to hit really hard, and you'll see that in a sec once Doctor Strange launches his first special attack. Yeah, that was like 70, 80,000 power sting damage. It's like absolutely ridiculous. I think we'll see the next one clearer. Yeah, just over 80k. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we're just gonna, actually no, a bit different. So we're just gonna show the first few fights with post buff Reed, and then switch to pre buff Reed. Now again, it was easier with the post buff Reed on this path because we had access to all 3 pre fights right off the bat. Now it's meant the power stings were able to last longer, and we are able to build up more pre-fights, and we can use those pre-fights. Well, they don't really work well on the Arcus boss, since Reed kind of has a weakness against champs that can shrug debuffs, so he's not great there. But when it does come to bosses in the future, I think Mr. Fantastic is going to have real value, even more than he already had. If you're looking to, I don't know, even if you want to just use Nick Fury for a boss and you want to increase his bleed potency, you just put on one of those pre-fights, and it's so easy to do. And even if it's even if it's for several fights in a path, you do like across 3 fights, you use 3 of Reed's pre-fights, you still have 6 left over. It's just such a good bonus to his kit. I think we are going to eat a special 3. I think this is the one where, yeah, he didn't want to throw his special 2, so we were like desperately trying to get him down with his special 2, and it does hit pretty hard, but unfortunately a special 3. Now Reed does have some physical resistance in his kit, but it's not. I think it's like 900. It's not amazing, but that special only did 13,000. I think we did have a weakness from the Fantastic Force energy, which helped. All right, so now we're onto the pre-buff Reed, and you see there's not really much difference because the main thing is the power stings, and at this point we've already built up Reed. He's on 5 persistent charges. But the thing is, if you mess up, it's much more forgiving. The post buff Reed is much more forgiving if you mess up, because if you mess up with this Reed, you don't have all your pre-fights available. You only have 2. But you have to mess up 3 times with the post buff Reed to lose your debuffs. It's even there's even that aspect to it about safety events, like, because everyone makes mistakes in this game. And so yeah, it's just a really cool added feature. And so I think this is the second to last fight on this path. And yeah, this is just a super fun fight, fun path overall with Mr. Fantastic, because he just cheeses the heck out of it. It's so fun. Like a lot of Act 7.1 was pretty fun. And I'm definitely expecting to use him quite a bit in 7.2, which is coming out in a few days. Alright, we took a few hits there, but no, not a big deal. She goes down. That's right. So the last fight was Loki. Now this path also had Power Snack, I believe. So Reed also has the advantage there because the Petrifiers reduce the amount of power they get from Power Snack. With a 5-star Reed, it's a 35% Petrify. With a 6-star, it's a 40% Petrify. So even stronger. It's stronger per star rating. And you see we're still hitting ridiculous amounts of Power Sting damage. It's a bit less than what we were getting with the post buff Reed, but it's still really good, really good. Okay, so a little interlude before the big fights that we're going to showcase in this video. So this is pre-buff Reed. We're not going to show post-buff Reed on this fight, just the pre-buff Reed. So this is the Ultron boss in 6.1. Definitely one of the harder bosses in 6.1. Right behind Crossbones. Is definitely pretty tough. And he has lots of nodes that really screw with a bunch of champs and also punish you for dexing. So the main node is EMP mod that you have to worry about. So if we activate buffs, which we do every 10 hits, we get a cruelty from the global. But we don't want to dex his specials because that gives us more buffs that he can turn into passive shocks. So we're just going to be blocking all of his special ones. And obviously we're going to be building up our pre-fights through the special 2, because that's going to reduce the amount of power he gets from Spite, because you see he has the Spite passive power gain at the moment, and it's pretty much doing nothing because the Petrifiers are basically cancelling it out right now. Yeah, so that's a really cool feature that Reed has. He can shut down Spite really quickly just by getting to one special 2. He basically fully negates it. And now that we've got 3 Petrifiers, backup recovery, he's losing power from that. It's just we have the fight totally under control right now. And this is what I was talking about when it comes to control with Reed. He turns a fight that is really tricky. There's evade, there's evade, there's it's unblockable specials. I don't know if specials are unblockable, but the passive shocks from EMP mod, backup recovery, Spite. Reed just shits on all of that and says, nope, I'm taking control of this fight. So that's what I love the most about him. Is fights like this where he can really show off. So we did, I think we did dex that one, but wasn't too bad. And we are throwing light heavies because of aggression armor. We don't want his passive armors to build up too much. And so the other thing you'll notice is because he has a careful study passive, that's that one icon, we're getting an extra 35% power because we're Sig 120. So we're able to easily get to a special 3 before special delivery, before we reach our 15 hits. And you'll see that later on in Abyss against Darkhawk. We're going to show that we can easily get to a special 3 before the 10 hits where he steals our power. So yeah, that's another thing that Reed has going for him with his Sig ability. Okay, so this is probably my favorite fight that I recorded today. So this is there's obviously the champion. Well, one of the toughest bosses in Act 6 is definitely a massive roadblock to players. Now, Reed has a synergy with Dr. Doom that gives him 5% of power whenever a buff expires from the opponent. And on his special one, he has a stagger. So Doom basically turns Mr. Fantastic into a Mystic with a Mystic Dispersion. Not quite the same, but Reed can basically use special 1 spam to take control of this fight. And you'll see we didn't actually we did activate some pre-fights, but we actually shouldn't have, because we actually don't want to reduce the amount of power he gets. We want to activate the careful study passive from the special 1, and then we want to get it from the special 2 as well. Because what that would do is that will make the power we get even more. So it will turn the extra 35% power we get into an extra 70% power. So we want to actually let these debuffs wear off eventually, and I think they will. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll be back later on. Okay, we're just about to reach 50% health, and this is still the pre-buff Reed. Now watch as we transition to the post-buff Reed. We're at the exact same amount of hits at 50% the way through the fight. Now that's because, unlike the other fights we've been showcasing, Reed isn't relying on his debuffs here, so he doesn't actually benefit from the increased attack post-buff. Reed could do this fight just as well pre-buff. Just one of the many things he could do just as well pre-buff. Not that I'm complaining about the buff, but, a lot of people were sleeping on this guy. Alrighty, we're in the last 10%. Now, the other thing that I forgot to mention was the Careful Study passives. They reduce the opponent's special attack damage by 75%. So we can safely block the champion's special one and it will not do much damage at all. And we can also dex it, the chop bit to get rid of the indestructible charges. But it's also a great way to just, if you're struggling with dexing, it's very safe with the Careful Study passive. And there he goes down. So yeah, Reed absolutely monsters the champion fight with the Doctor Doom synergy. We also had the Doctor Octopus synergy for the power stings, but that's definitely not needed. Okay, now for the big name event. So this is Abyss Darkhawk. One of the first fights. Well, it is the first fight on paths 2, 3, and 4 of Abyss. Now this is post buff Reed. Now we're going to show him with. We're going to showcase him with pretty much no synergies. We have a 6-star Mr. Fantastic on the team. That's basically in place of a 30% boost that we might be using on a run. Now, this is unlike the last fight. Reed definitely needs his debuffs to in order to take control of this fight. So what we're going to be trying to do is let him get his special one, Careful Study passive. We're just waiting out the shield mode so that we can safely throw our special 2. Unfortunately, we mistimed it by a sec, but we are able to throw a heavy there. Now, we wouldn't have been able to do that pre-buff because Reed's pre-fights last for an extra 3 seconds. So it actually takes away the stress of, having to land a heavy in time by quite a bit. It is a noticeable difference going from 12 seconds to 15 seconds, and it's definitely another thing I'm really happy with. Not that he needed it, but it's good for, it makes life easier. Okay, so we've got the special 1 passive, and now we're going to go for the special 2. And you see, that reversed his healing by quite a lot. So that's pretty much going to be the game plan from now on. We're going to let him get to special 2 and turn the shield mode that he has into stealth mode. And that's going to cause him to regen. But we're going to just reverse that regen with the amount of debuffs we have on him. Now, we only activated 2 pre-fights, which was the debuff and the petrify. We didn't activate the power suppression because that will reduce the amount of power he gets from us hitting him by quite a lot. And we don't actually want that because we want him to get to special 2s a lot so that we can reverse the healing from the special 2s. You see, with that special 2 and that heavy, we took 10% of his health off. So that's just pretty much going to be the game plan from here. He might throw a few special ones in between, but we want to get to the special 2 passive first. Unfortunately, we made a slip up there and he threw another special 1, but hopefully we can get that special 2 passive, which will help our combat power rate, and then we can absolutely melt this guy. So, you see, we're really into the swing of things now. So now we're just going to be cycling special threes and just let him kill himself. You know, I couldn't help myself. Like, this fight is just so fun for Reed. And obviously we took a bit of chip damage, but, you know, it's a solo. And I couldn't help myself, so we recorded a couple more Abyss Darkhawk solos. So let's see how he goes with the full synergy team. We'll start with pre-buff, and then we'll transition to post-buff. Enjoy. I absolutely adore Reed. And if I didn't adore him, there was no way I would be rank 3ing him. So that's the main reason. And to see him get a buff when he didn't even need one is amazing. And I hope that some of you that see this video that weren't already familiar with Mr. Fantastic have had your eye opened to how insane this guy is. He's so fun to play, he's so powerful, he can control so many fights, and he's a great asset in anyone's roster. I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you guys next time.